I'm sorry. I only did that because the narcissist in me just wanted to get an applaud just in case you don't applaud me at the end. So today I'm going to share with you a little bit about myself. The talk itself is about the power and purpose of ideas. Now, protocol dictates that I explain to you what an idea is, the purpose of an idea. So the power and purpose of an idea. Someone like Plato or Aristotle or even more recently Kant would say an idea is random thoughts or abstract thoughts and reasoning culminating in an image which is the resulting idea. Now, for me it's a little bit simpler than that. I think ideas are something that we just stumble upon blindly. Now I mean that in the nicest possible way. Who here has ever laid in bed and you've thought of something, you thought, oh, that's really clever, I'm going to write it down, but you don't actually get out of bed to find a pen to write it down? By show of hands. I do it all the time. So there you go. So we just stumble across ideas because no one lays in bed and says, well, yeah, I'm going to sit here and think about an idea. I'm going to come up with something great right now. So that's what I think. I think it's something we stumble across. Now, for me, it's one of the most powerful concepts or constructs as well. Think just for a minute. Fire. It's been around before human or mankind was ever on this planet. Some Neanderthal somewhere saw something burning and thought, ooh, that's interesting. Let me go and investigate that. Through his investigations, he found that it's warm. He went closer. He picked it up. He brought it back to, I don't know, maybe a friend or a relative or a cohort. They gathered around it. They cooked food on it. During their social interactions, they've had to come up with ways to conversate, come up with words and terms to use. So that's building society. Now, the society we know today is built off the back of fire. Let's think of something else. A grain of sand. Somebody walking along a beach one day picked up a grain of sand and said, oh, look, it's a tiny grain, it's translucent. I wonder what would happen if I made it bigger. So they burnt a cauldron somewhere, put some sand in it, melted it down. They had glass. We've now got a plane of glass, protects you from the outside. Now, one more thing. Let's think about a bag, a simple bag. You fill the bag with sand, you put it down, you've got the makings of a makeshift wall. We use it every day in war. We use it every day to hold back torrents of water. Sorry, Somerset, you guys probably didn't know about that idea last year. But, so that's how simple an idea can be, and that's how easily it can change a life or impact on somebody. Now, this picture here, this is of me back in Jamaica. There's a lot of Jamaicans, it seems, in here today. By show of hands, if you've been to Jamaica. Brilliant. So you know that this picture here is of me as a child in Jamaica. Now, the main thing that I'm going to say right now is, I know half of you are thinking, oh, he's just one missed meal away from the Oxfam advert. That's fine. And in all fairness, my knees still actually look like that. I'm not going to show you, but that's how they still look. The reason I'm showing you this is because disregard everything else you can see in this picture. My face is a smiling, happy face. The reason I was happy was because I had freedom. I had all the pets I could hope for. I grew up with my great-grandmother, so I had all the pets, all the freedom I could hope for. I'd be 3, 4, 5 years old, I'd walk out the house and I'd walk into a forest or a field, and I could go and come as I pleased. Now, that all changed when my mum had an idea. She decided she was coming to the UK to make a better life for us. She brought me over here as a young child, and what you do as a child is you conform to social norms in order to fit in. And I did the exact same. So when I got to the UK, the first thing that you noticed was it's cold. Now, I remember stepping outside of the airplane and walking through Heathrow, holding the hand of the stewardess that helped me to go through customs. And I remember thinking, man, why is there such a draft? Why is it so cold? In Jamaica, we don't feel the cold. I was over there 2 weeks ago, it was 23 degrees, and people were saying, oh, it's cold. And I was like, are you joking? So that's the first thing that I noticed. And then obviously as time went on, I noticed that the accents were different, the foods were different, the culture in itself was different. Nothing was the same. And for me, the best way to fit into that was to start liking the things that the people around me liked, and was to start doing things that the people around me did. For example, people would say, oh, I like Popeye. This was a really classic one. In school, we were told to draw our favorite TV characters. Now, I didn't have a TV as a child. We didn't have electricity. You can see the bottom step to my house there is actually pretty much the foundation. It's in the dirt. So we didn't have electricity, we didn't have a TV, we had a small radio which was battery powered, and I didn't have a clue who Popeye was, but I said to everyone, yeah, I like Popeye too. So I copied the person beside me, I copied their drawing and said, yeah, this is the character that I like. And for me, that was the openings of everything else that followed through my teens. Throughout my teenage years, I lied all the time. I told everyone I liked things that they liked just so I'd be accepted. There was one point where I was almost 20 years old, just coming on to my 20th birthday, and I got into a fight with this guy in Hackney. Now, as a child, I did karate, I did a little bit of boxing, so I was a good fighter, I could fight. I won that fight, by the way, just so you know, I won the fight, and he came back a minute or two later and he had a loaded gun. Now, normally I would have probably ran, or I say normally, it doesn't happen to me all the time, just so you know. This was the first time it happened. So I had my younger brother with me, so I was worried about running, and I stood there, I said to him, well, what are you gonna do? I pushed my brother to the side, I said, what are you gonna do? And this guy, he was terrible, terrible human being. He pulled the trigger. And when he pulled the trigger, he cocked the gun back, and I saw the bullet come out the side, so I knew it was loaded. And he pulled the trigger again. And in that moment, I had my Isaac Newton Apple moment. I thought to myself, hold on, this guy's just tried to kill me. I need to now do something to either influence his behavior or the behavior of others. So that was my moment. That was my, this is it. I have to do something big. But Jamaicans are typically known as laid-back people, and I'm probably one of the most laid-back Jamaican or person you ever come across. So this idea was in my head for about a day or two. I let the idea go. A few weeks later, a few months later, a friend of mine was shot and killed, unfortunately. And again, this same idea, I stumbled upon it again. So it's like, I need to do something to influence the behaviors, to influence the thoughts and the processes that lead up to someone pulling a gun on somebody. I thought, oh, how am I going to do that? I know I'm going to run a marathon. Maybe that will, give me a platform, then I can stand on that platform and say, well, look, guys, you don't need to do this because there's a life outside there. There's so many things that you can do if you don't go down that particular road. Now, that in mind, I didn't have a clue what I was going to do. Who does? Watching breakfast one day, I saw Ben Fogle and James Cracknell, adventurers, talking about their rowing across the Atlantic, and I thought, okay, that sounds like something I want to do, but I'm not a good swimmer, so I don't want to do anything water-based. In the next breath, they said, we're going to walk to the South Pole, and we're looking for a third member of a team. So now it's like, okay, serendipity, I was looking for something to do, and they've now presented it. I wrote off to them, but procrastinating like I did. This was nearly 3 weeks later. So they said, unfortunately, we can't let you come along because selections have already started. Would you be willing to go to the North Pole? At this stage, I just think to myself, a pole is a pole. They're both cold, it's snow and it's ice. So I'm like, well, yeah, whatever, I'll go. And so I say, yeah, I'll go, why not? Next thing was I got an email saying, Dwayne, look, we heard you want to do this. Are you fit? I was, yes, I'm quite fit. I play football every now and then. Do you have £23,000? And that's where I was like, oh God, no, good. So I spent every penny of my student loan, every penny I had saved, and I even had to borrow money to go. But the reason I'm telling you the story is because I'm telling you the power of what, I'm trying to tell you how what you put into an idea can give that idea power and, take it further. So I found the money to go. I've had all the training. I've prepared. I'm on the walk now. So I'm in the Arctic somewhere. It's freezing cold, -40. I'm walking along, steadily walking along, freezing cold, tired, fatigue, and the food was nasty. It was dehydrated food, so it's terrible. I hated every single moment of it. And what I did to inspire myself and encourage myself and to allow myself to take the next step after step was I planted an idea in my head, which I stumbled upon, which was, you know what, when I arrive at the North Pole, there will be confetti and fireworks and there will be people screaming your name, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen. When I got there, the bit of snow, which was the North Pole, was the exact same as the bit of snow 250 miles that way. So I felt like I was robbed. That was the first feeling. It was a huge anticlimax. So I felt like I was robbed. Now, the reason I tell you that is because since making my idea, my dream into a reality, I've seen the real power of it. And the power of it came because I've managed to go to schools and talk to kids. I've been to no less than 15, 20 schools in the last 2 years. I've been awarded the Freedom of the City. I've been to Buckingham Palace to eat. I've spoken to the Queen. I've spoken to David Attenborough. I'm not telling you this to impress you. I'm telling you to impress upon you how following your dreams or following an idea or empowering yourself to go off and, you know, turn that idea into reality can impact your life. Now, in closing, I'm very conscious of time, so in closing, I just want to say the power of an idea is realized when you turn that idea into reality. And going back to the topic, the purpose of an idea is to influence your life, influence the life of those around you, and to leave a legacy. Thank you.